An API isn't one thing. It's actually four separate pieces working together. So, let's walk through how the four pieces work together using an example. When you log into a website, your browser sends an API request to a database. That single request is all four pieces at once. Let's follow it from the click. The second you click Login, here's what happens in the background. Right there in your browser, your name mark and your password get turned into a JavaScript object, and only JavaScript understands it. But here's the catch. Your browser runs on JavaScript. The database on the other side runs on Python. So if your browser just took that JavaScript object and handed it straight over, Python wouldn't understand a single thing. It can't read JavaScript, so the data would be useless. So, before anything gets sent, we need a format both sites understand. The most used one today is JSON. Basically, what it does is turn code into strings. In our example, we take that JavaScript object and wrap the whole thing in quotation marks, front and back, and every key gets put in quotes too. Almost identical to before, but now it's just text. And that's the whole point. Plain text is universal. Python can read it, C++, JavaScript, any language can read it. Now we have JSON. That's going to be the body of our API call. The body is the part of the call that holds the actual data. But to send it to the server, you need a few more pieces. First, the protocol. The protocol is how the data actually travels. In our case, HTTPS. HTTPS is an encrypted way to send data over the network. If somebody would try to intervene, they couldn't see anything but ones and zeros. When using the protocol, you have to say what kind of action you want. The two most common ones are GET and POST. GET means you want to receive data. POST means you want to send data. In our case, the browser sends the user data to the database, so we use POST because we're the ones sending the info. So now we wrap the body inside the HTTPS request and put POST inside. Now we need an endpoint. The endpoint tells the request where exactly to go. So for example, a database has lots and lots of data. It would be unproductive to let the database look through billions of logs and different kinds of data to find your little piece of data. So we use endpoints. When we give the database an endpoint, it only searches there, not through everything. And we already know our data sits in that spot. So instead of the whole database, it's down to 10 pieces. The database grabs the right one and we move on. So we add the endpoint to the request. And finally, we need an authenticator. That's an API key. The API key is basically the only real physical thing about an API. It's a long string that gets sent along with the request. Short note, if this video was well explained so far, it would be greatly appreciated if you'd subscribe. Now back to it. So, now the browser finished to build the API request. Now it goes across the network and lands on the database. The database first reads the method. It's a POST, so it knows you're sending data, not asking for it. Then it looks at the endpoint. Then it checks the API key. It's correct. The request gets through. Then it opens the body, and all that's inside is text, just strings. The database runs Python, so it reads those strings and turns them straight back into a Python object, the reverse of what your browser did on the way out. Now it's real data, your name and your password. It checks them against what's stored, and they match. So it grabs that user's data, wraps it back into JSON, and sends it the same way it came. That's one full API call. So an API is just the word we use for all of these pieces working together. None of these on their own is the API. All of them together is what we call one. You got a topic you want me to cover? Drop it in the comments. See you in the next one.